Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of That's Peculiar. I'm Nathan.
I'm Andra.
Andra has a show today.
Yes, I do. It's pulled up. I just have to get my screen ready. What? What's that? Was that the loudest
Ross
sneeze I've ever
sneezed.
heard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is my screen
And he went, "Ew."
not doing this? Well, while I'm doing this really quick, I am currently drinking, going back to the old days, seltzer water with vodka in it. I had stuff for another Moscow Mule, but it felt too sweet, you know?
Vodka
Back
soda.
to the
I drink vodka soda.
Blues Clues days. Do you remember when I would get those tangerine sparkling waters?
Oh yes, those are so
And we
good.
would drink it with vodka, and we would just that was our thing for a minute. Okay, I'm ready. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulties.
All right, what are we talking about today?
This is a famously insane-esque.
Famously insane-esque.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
story, I wouldn't call him insane, because I don't find him, he's not insane. He's just a little wily. Yeah,
Eccentric.
He's a little wily. Pop off real quick. Yeah, maybe eccentric.
Okay.
We are going to be talking about Leadbelly.
I have no idea who that is.
You should. Everyone should. Anyone who does not know who Leadbelly is should know.
Why? I mean,
So if you ask 10 people in the street, it's not a surprise that you don't know him. If you ask 10 people in the street if they knew who Leadbelly was, the Smithsonian activist Jeff Place says 8 wouldn't know.
I am definitely one of those 8.
Yeah, chances are, though, they'd know many of Leadbelly's songs that have been picked up by others. Among them is Good Night Irene, an American standard made a number hit 1 by the Weavers in 1950s.
Nope.
It was number 1 hit 1 year after the death of the blues man who first recorded it, Huddie Ledbetter. But the roster also includes Where Did You Sleep Last Night? This is the spooky song that capped Nirvana's Grammy-winning number 1 Unplugged in New York album, 1994. Another one is Rock Isle Line, recorded by both Lonnie Donegan and Johnny Cash. House of the Rising Sun. Do you know that one? Number 1 hit by the Animals.
I don't know.
I think you know House of the Rising Sun.
I
Cotton Fields, Gallows Pole, Midnight Special by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
No.
Also on the list is Black Betty.
Oh, I know Black Betty.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one.
Yeah, this was by Ram Jam and also has been covered by Tom Jones. So let's dive into it. That whole blip was, by the way, in a Smithsonian article that, where is it? His name, sorry, I lost it. It is Jeff Place wrote in the Smithsonian. So if you want to look that up, it's a really cool article. Huddie William Ledbetter, he was born in January 1888 or 1889. No one is really sure the exact year. Yeah, no one's really sure.
Just reminds me of in August. Mid-August. Yeah.
January. Like, there's not even another day. It's just January 1888 or 1889. The younger of 2 children. Leadbelly, who at this time was still known as Huddie William Ledbetter, was born to Sally Brown and Wesley Ledbetter on a plantation near Mooringsport, Louisiana, which is now, from my understanding, that's Freeport. Keep going, sorry. Leadbelly grew up physically strong, working hard in cotton fields, bending horseshoes with his bare hands.
Oh, he sounds like a big dude.
Yeah, I was like, and gaining popularity with the ladies. On his World War II draft registration card in 1942, he gave his birthplace as Freeport, Louisiana, which is Shreveport today.
Huh.
Which is not where he was born.
No.
There is uncertainty over his precise date because the Leadbelly Foundation gives his birth date as January 20th, 1889. His grave marker gives the year 1889, and his 1942 draft registration card states January 23rd, 1889. His parents had but his parents had married in 1888, which it said that it was perhaps after his birth year. So there's speculation of like when he was born, because they're saying like his parents, they called them cohabitated for years, and then they married perhaps after his birth year.
Because
So,
of his birth.
well,
Maybe.
he's the youngest. He's younger
Okay.
of two children. So, no, not necessarily. I think they just decided they actually liked each other. But yeah, either way, let's go more into it. He's a wild card. I actually kind of wonder if he didn't want people to know much about him. So his parents cohabitated and then they married February 26th, 1888. When Hetty was 5 years old, the family settled in Bowie County, Texas. Actually, I have a friend that lives there now. Shout out to Amberly. By the 1910 census of Harrison County, Texas, Hetty Ledbetter was living next door to his parents in a separate household with his first wife, Aletha, and she went by like Leith or Letha Henderson, which I just thought that was so cute. Aletha is recorded as age 19, and others say she was 15 when they married in 1908. This is also the same as Ledbetter. Some
Okay.
people think he was actually 15 when they married, and the timeline kind of adds up. I just kind of wonder if they lied on their marriage certificate. I mean, he was essentially emancipated, living in the house next door to his parents.
Yeah.
It's a different time. It's 1910, or
Oh nine.
this is 1908.
1908. But that would put him around 19, 20 years old.
Speculation, yeah.
Okay.
Depending if he was born in
1888 or 1899, or 1889 or 1888 to 1908 or 09 would still be like 20-ish.
Yeah, there's some that say he was like 18, 19, some that say he was 15, so it's...
I think 15's a bit wrong, but okay.
And then it's the same for Aletha. They say the same thing. She was like recorded as 19, but then there's some speculation that she was actually 15. It is a different time though, so I just want to say that. Ledbetter received his first instrument in Texas, which was an accordion given to him by his uncle Terrell. He learned to play the accordion from his father, and his uncle taught him how to play guitar. Belly later taught himself to play the piano, harmonica, and mandolin.
Dang. The mandolin?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. In addition to these talents, he possessed like a beautiful, powerful voice in a baritone. It's a very deep baritone voice that just like bellowed. By his early 20s, having fathered at least 2 children.
At
early
least
20s.
2.
Yeah. Ledbetter, I know, at least. Ledbetter left home to make his living as a guitarist and occasional laborer. He was known as the first Black musician to perform and record for a white audience.
Wow.
Yeah. Leadbelly was a complex figure, a rebellious loner, natural talent, and controversial troublemaker. Let's dive in. It says, however, it was through his songs in the history that American blues was written.
Okay.
I've read so many articles, all of them say that. If anyone has any qualms with this, take it up with the Smithsonian and the New Yorker. Like, there's so many articles that claim him to be the first
blues
history of
artist.
American blues.
Okay.
American blues, yeah.
American blues. Okay.
He performed to Shreveport audiences in St. Paul's Bottoms, which I just think is so cool, a notorious red light district. He began to develop his own style of music after exposure to the various musical influences on Shreveport's Fannin Street, a row of saloons, brothels, and dance halls in the Bottoms.
The
This area
Bottoms.
is this area is Heights.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. In Dallas, he worked with Blind Lemon Jefferson, a well-known and commercially successful blues performer at the time. However, their partnership was short-lived due to Leadbelly's volatile nature, which led to a fight and his imprisonment.
What?
Yeah, but
Volatile? What? So he was just
they want to fight
physical?
you. Yeah.
Short temper?
We'll get into it. Between 1915 and 1939, Ledbetter served several prison and jail terms in Louisiana for a variety of criminal charges. Let's go into those. Leadbelly was imprisoned beginning in 1915 when he was convicted of carrying a pistol and sentenced to time on the Harrison County chain gang. I know. He later escaped and found work in nearby Bowie County under an assumed name of Walter Boyd.
Okay.
So he got an alias, Walter Boyd. In January 1918, he was imprisoned at the Imperial Farm, which is now Central Unit 22 in Sugar Land, Texas, after being convicted of killing a relative, Will Stafford, in a fight over a woman.
He was married, wasn't he?
Yeah, she falls off the face of the earth. I did try and dig her
We don't
up.
hear about Letha again.
He gets married again, so I'm assuming they got divorced, but it's never actually mentioned.
Weird.
Or maybe he's married to two people. I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah. So during his second prison term, Leadbelly was stabbed in the neck by another inmate. The wound resulted in a fearsome scar that the musician covered with a bandana. And you can, like, he's typically wearing a bandana and stuff in photos. Leadbelly nearly killed his attacker at the time with his own knife.
Everyone's strapped in prison.
Yeah, apparently. After writing a song pleading for clemency, Ledbetter was pardoned by Governor Matt Morris Neff in 1925.
He got pardoned because he wrote a song?
Well, we'll get into it more. There's some debate about that, but 30 years after starting his musical career, he was discovered in Angola Penitentiary. Penitentiary.
Penitentiary? Penitentiary.
Let's really hope I never have to go to one of those. During a 1933 visit by folklorist John Lomax and his son Alex Lomax. The Lomaxes recorded him in 1933 on a portable aluminum disc.
Cool.
Which, yeah, I know. I wanted to mention that because, like,
so cool.
An aluminum disc.
Aluminum disc.
Yeah. Recording equipment for the Library of Congress project. They returned with new and better equipment July 1934. So they returned to the penitentiary.
Penitentiary.
Thanks. Did I say it right?
You said penitentiary.
Jail. They returned to the jail. Their prison, recording hundreds of his songs. While in prison, Leadbelly may have first heard the traditional prison song Midnight Special, but his version became famous. On August 1st, Ledbetter was released after having served nearly all of his minimum sentence. The Lomaxes had taken a record and a petition seeking his release to Louisiana Governor Oscar K. Allen at his urgent request. It included his signature song, Goodnight, Irene. So Lomax and Ledbetter think his release from prison was due to him singing, and lots of magazines later actually write about this.
Because it was so moving.
He's just known as the man who sang himself out of prison, and we'll get more into that, and I'll probably repeat that sentence. But a prison official later wrote to John Lomax denying that Ledbetter's singing had anything to do with his release from prison. State prison records confirm he was eligible for this due to good behavior, but both Ledbetter and I mean, he stabbed somebody in prison.
Yeah.
It almost killed them.
Yeah, good behavior.
Ledbetter and Lomax believe that it was the record that they had taken to the governor that helped gain his release from prison.
Yeah, I don't think you get released for good behavior for stabbing someone and almost killing them.
The Smithsonian records this, but they actually say he was released because he was due for parole.
That's what they say officially.
That's what the Smithsonian says.
Yeah.
The New Yorker says he sang his way out of prison. You can look up so many articles, and it's kind of like a battle. I'm going with the Smithsonian, but I do also like the idea that he sang himself from prison.
I mean, I could see them being like, he's due, and also, did you hear his record?
Uh-huh. He's got some music to make. Okay. In September, needing regular work to satisfy parole, he asked John Lomax to take him as a paid driver. For 3 months, he assisted the 67-year-old John Lomax, not Alex, who is his son, and both of them had discovered him. I just want to clarify that. There's a John and an Alex Lomax.
Yes, okay.
So he assisted John, the 67-year-old, in his folk song collecting around the South. In 1930, Ledbetter was sentenced to Louisiana State Penitentiary, nicknamed Angola. Yeah, I know.
What do you do now?
After a summary trial for attempted homicide for stabbing a man in a fight.
He likes stabbing people.
He was on the chain gang. In December 1934, he stabbed people before the chain gang. In December 1934, Leadbelly participated in a smoker, which is a group singing back then, at a Modern Language Association meeting at, this is awful, Bryn Mawr College. That doesn't sound awful, but it's spelled Brynmawr.
Oh, that's a spelling.
So it takes your brain, Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, where the senior Lomax had a prior lecture engagement. He was written up in the press as a convict who had sung his way out of prison. On New Year's Day, 1935, the pair arrived in New York City, where Lomax was scheduled to meet with his publisher. His publisher Macmillan about a new collection of folk songs. The newspapers were eager to actually write about the singing convict. Time magazine made one of its first, you can also look up him in Time. He's been periodically written about in Time magazine. But this is back in 1935. Time magazine made one of its first March of Time newsreels about him. Leadbelly attained fame, but not fortune, at least at this time. So he was still dirt poor.
This is 1935?
Yeah, so he's still dirt poor.
So he's like 40.
Yeah, convicted. Yeah, because when Lomaxes found him, he had started his career like 30 years prior. So yeah, roughly about. So basically, he was becoming super popular. Everyone was giving him fame, but nobody was like paying him, and he was
Yeah.
still working as a driver for John Lomax.
Why was he not getting paid for his music?
So I think we get into it in here, but some of these songs were not ever able to be released because they were recorded in prison.
That's stupid.
There is actually, I think Jack, so this all came up because Jack showed me this record and then he kind of told me the backstory. Jack actually has like a special edition record that I think has some of his prison performances. So that they're like, they sound kind of, they
Funky.
sound like he's singing in a tin
In a
can.
tin
Not
can.
exagger, yeah,
Because
not exaggerating.
it was on an aluminum.
Well, that
And the
was
way they recorded it.
I didn't make that correlation, but yeah, literally kind of sounds like he's singing to like magnify it in a tin can.
Yeah.
Jack also told me at some points they had to switch back and forth because they just had one speaker. So sometimes they were putting the speaker on his mouth and sometimes they were putting it on the guitar, and you can kind of hear it going back and forth because
Huh.
they didn't have too much. So the microphone, not speaker, the
Yeah.
microphone would go on his mouth, and then they'd put it down on his guitar, and then put it back when he was singing. So it's really interesting to listen to, actually.
Hmm.
So on January 3rd through 25th, 1935, Leadbelly had the first of several recording sessions with American Record ARC. Like many performers, what income he made during his career from touring, it came from touring, not from record sales.
Yes.
In
That's
February 9th,
how a lot of
sorry,
artists do it now too. They make a lot of their money on like merch and whatever they do during their tours.
touring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially now because companies like Apple and Spotify, in the 90s they made a lot on records, but
Yeah.
not at this time and then not at that time. In February, he has a random girlfriend pop up. No, probably not random to
But
him, but
after this is out during his second wife.
this is in February 1935. He married his girlfriend, Martha Promise. Isn't that name just so cute? She's also like gorgeous. She's so cute. Seriously. And her name, Martha Promise. This is his wife to the end. He
Oh,
just
okay.
has one. So Martha Promise is his final wife. I don't know what happened to the other one. I don't
Weird.
know. And there's like not too much that I found even recorded about her. So, but Martha Promise actually comes up a lot, and she's in a lot, and you can read about her. So, she had came from north from Louisiana to join him. So in March 1935, Leadbelly accompanied John Lomax on that previously scheduled 2-week lecture tour of colleges and universities in Northeast, culminating at Harvard. At the end of the month, John Lomax decided he could no longer work with Leadbelly. He gave him and Martha enough money to return by bus to Louisiana. He also gave Martha the money her husband had earned during the 3 months of performing, nothing before, but in installments, on the pretext that Leadbelly would not spend it all on, sorry, I'm saying that he was doing it in installments on the pretext that Leadbelly would spend it on drinking if he had given the lump
Lump
sum
sum.
to him.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I see that as he was actually trying to help him and
Yeah.
Martha. But from Louisiana, Leadbelly successfully sued Lomax for both the full amount of his earnings and release from his management contract. The quarrel was bitter, with hard feelings on both sides. In the midst of the legal wrangling, Leadbelly wrote to Lomax proposing they team up again, but this did not happen. Him and
That's
John.
probably for the better.
Uh, I don't know. Honestly, I think there was like a bitter fight, but I don't think there was bitter feelings that continued. We'll get into that a little later. In January 1936, Leadbelly returned to New York on his own without John Lomax in an attempt for a comeback. He performed twice a day at Harlem's Apollo Theater during the Easter season. He developed a live dramatic recreation of the March of Time newsreel, which was a recreation already, but he developed a dramatic version.
Yeah.
Which was about his prison encounter with Lomax when he was still wearing uniform stripes. By this time, he was no longer associated with Lomax, but he was still singing about this time.
Yeah.
Life magazine ran a 3-page, so this is the,
Dang.
oh no, this is Life. Life, yeah, ran a 3-page article titled Leadbelly, and then you can look up the second part because it's not politically correct.
Oh.
But Leadbelly, semicolon.
The rest of it.
Uh-huh. In the issue of April 19, 1937, it included a full-page color, which is super rare in those days, picture of him sitting on grain sacks, playing his guitar and singing. Also included was a striking photo of his wife, Martha Promise. Other photos showed Leadbelly's hands playing the guitar, so it was like kind of a close-up photo of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And the caption said, "These hands once killed a man."
Oh my gosh.
Good job, Time. Texas Governor Pat M. Neff in the ramshackle Texas State Penitentiary. The article attributes both of his pardons to his singing his petitions to governors who were so moved that they pardoned him.
Yeah.
The article closed by saying that Leadbelly may well be on the brink of a new and prosperous period. So this is all Time magazine. They chose to go with he sang his way out of prison.
Yep.
Did some non-PC things, also really capped on that his hands have killed people and that they're posting it. Okay. Just want to say that. In 1939, Leadbelly served his final jail term for assault after stabbing a man in a fight in Manhattan.
Oh my gosh, more stabbing of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
put in here Alan Lomax, but I think that's a typo. I'm pretty sure it's Alex. Then 24, so this is the son, took him under his wing and helped raise money for his legal expenses, dropping out of graduate school to do so. So the son of John Lomax, even after the bitter fight, took him under his wing and then raised money for his legal expenses.
Yeah, trying to help out.
Right. After gaining release, Leadbelly appeared as a regular on the Lomax and Nicholas Ray's groundbreaking CBS show, Back Where I Come From, and this broadcast is nationwide. He also performed in nightclubs with Josh White, becoming a fixture in New York City's surging folk music scene, and befriending the likes of Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee, Woody Guthrie, and Pete Seeger, all fellow performers on Back Where I Come From. Do you know any of them?
No.
I think you would know at least Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie. Just maybe Woody Guthrie does the... God, I have to listen to Woody Guthrie all the time. He does, you would know. I can't think of a single song.
Neither can I.
1940, Leadbelly recorded for RCA Victor, one of the biggest record company. You have seen RCA. That was like old VCR movie.
Yeah.
RCA was huge. It's one of the biggest record companies at this time.
I did not know that it was a record company, but I have seen RCA.
I did not know either. I think they developed into different things later. These sessions in California were held on June 15th and 17th with the Golden Gate Quartet accompanying some of the songs. The records resulted in the album The Midnight Special and Other Southern Prison Songs being issued by Victor Records. The album included sheets with extensive notes and long text prepared by Alan Lomax. According to Charles Wolfe and Kip Lornell, it was one of the finest public presentations of Leadbelly's music, well recorded, well advertised, well documented, and the album justified its reputation as landmark in African American folk music. Several of the recordings from these sessions were issued as singles by Bluebird Records as well.
That's cool.
Between 1941 and 1944, Leadbelly released 3 albums under the Ash Recordings label. Sorry, Ash. It's ASCH. Leadbelly was the first American country blues musician to achieve success in Europe.
Oh, wow.
So his final concert was at the University of Texas at Austin in a tribute for his former mentor, John Lomax, who died the previous year. So that's where I'm like, I don't think the bitterness was actually something that stayed.
Yeah, it's kind of like we can't work together anymore. Love you, but can't work with you.
Yeah, like, give me my money, let's split, but like, get me out of this contract. I'm going to try and support you. And even saying at his final concert for the memoir, Martha also performed at this concert singing spirituals with Leadbelly.
Wow.
His wife.
Yes.
Martha promised. That's so cute.
Martha made Who-ye.
I know, it is kind of Who-esque. Ledbetter died later that year in New York City. He was buried in the Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery in Mooringsport, Louisiana.
Where he was born.
8 miles, close to 8 miles west of Blanchard. He is honored with a statue across from Caddo Parish Courthouse in Shreveport. Ledbetter's niece, who's an activist, her name is Gretchen DuBois or DeBois. It's one of those. Oh, maybe it's Dubois.
DEBOIS.
No. No, it's DEBOUSE. That's why I was thinking DuBois, but it might be DeBois and it might be Dubois. Yeah. DuBois founded National Huddy Ledbetter Day, which is August 1st annually, which I did not know we had a National Huddy Ledbetter Day, August 1st. Otherwise, I would have done this episode on August 1st anyways, and received proclamations that the mayors of Oil City, LA, so Louisiana, where Leadbelly worked, so they got like ravings basically. Let's talk about his nickname.
Thank you.
It's interesting.
That's what I was like. Yeah. I'm sitting here going, but why is he called Leadbelly?
So I wanted to end with this just because it's a little fun tidbit about him, but there are several conflicting stories about how Leadbetter
but of course there
acquired the nickname. Yeah, I have to leave you on like some sort of cliffhanger.
Why would anything of this story make sense? Like his birthday or how old he was when he got married? Or the fact that his first wife just disappears.
Or possible of 2 children. Like, what happened to his children?
At least 2 children, and we don't know anything about them, apparently.
Nothing. They never came up.
But we know all about Martha.
Martha's great. Sorry to the children, but, like, maybe she would have been a great stepmom, and maybe she was a good stepmom. I don't know.
We don't know anything.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe somebody else could find them, but that wasn't in my path of research. So there are several conflicting stories about how Leadbetter acquired his nickname, Leadbelly. It probably, I think this was from Time magazine, it probably happened while he was in prison. Some claim his fellow inmates called him Leadbelly as a play on his family name, Leadbetter, and his physical toughness.
Okay.
Others say he earned the name after being wounded in the stomach with a buckshot.
I like that one.
Me too. Another theory is that the name refers to his ability to drink moonshine, the homemade liquor that Southern farmers, black and white, made supplement their incomes. So apparently, he was able to drink a lot of moonshine.
Well, I could see that also being true because he was
You have a lead stomach.
Well, yeah, and then the whole like money thing when he was like, "I'm gonna give it to you in installments because I don't want him buying alcohol,
drinking it."
Yeah.
Yeah. I never even correlated that. This is great. Yeah. In possibly the earliest audio recording of the phrase "lead belly," sorry, I read that wrong. One of his earliest recordings of lead belly, he urged black listeners to stay woke. I just thought this was interesting. Stay woke.
Interesting.
So this is earliest recording. In the spoken afterword to a 1938 recording of his song Scottsboro Boys, which tells the story of 9 black teenagers and young men falsely accused of raping 2 white women in Alabama in 1931.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I just thought, I never knew Stay Woke was that long. I thought it was like a new thing.
I mean, it's really popular now, but I'm just saying about 9 black kids being accused of raping 2 white women. Because why would they not blame black kids?
Yeah, I mean, it's falsely accused, yeah. On February 23rd, 2015, the Smithsonian Channel debuted a documentary about the twice, they put that in there, the twice jailed singer, but it's actually, I think, like 5 times, who became
at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2. Became so influential to music. Legend of Lead Belly is what it's called, including striking color footage of him singing in a cotton field. Comments from Roger McQuinn, Robbie Krieger, Judy Collins, and Van Morrison, who says he is a genius. My conclusion is, there you have the story of Lead Belly. A man, a legend, although a violent one. There are so many stories, some varying in reliability, but one thing is surely true. He was an amazing musician and people should know it.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know who that is. But I think that the lead belly, I think it's the moonshine story. He had a lead stomach.
I think that is a good one. I also think the buckshot could very well be.
That's my second.
I mean, he was in the habit of stabbing people.
Yes.
Very easily, somebody could have shot him in the stomach trying to get them to not stab him, and maybe he killed them. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, that's cool. I had no idea about this person.
Yeah, I think everyone should. And his music really is so good. If you ever feel like you want to listen to something new, try some Lead Belly.
I'm going to have to try it when I'm driving somewhere and try and give it a listen.
Yeah, I'll text you Jack's favorite. He was actually just singing it earlier.
I'm not really a blues person.
It's not what you would think. There's actually this song, oh my god, Jack sings it all the time, and it's like, it's got some sort of like backwards kind of like,
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It's good, though. It's really good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for joining us today on That's Peculiar. Make sure you
listen to Lead Belly.
So, yeah, give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot. Make sure you comment, like, follow, all the fun stuff. All the things. And we'll see you next week on That's Peculiar. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on That's Peculiar. Please be sure to comment, follow, and share. Join us again next week for a new episode. If you have a peculiar story you would like to hear or share, send us an email to perpetuallypeculiarpod@gmail.com.